Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we think is likely to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button, really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out. Let's jump right down into this one. We saw a pretty volatile day yesterday. It did push up slightly higher than I was actually expecting because, looking at the data, it didn't suggest that we were going to have this run up, but I guess that's that there is one for 𝗕𝗢𝗠𝗃 rather than smart money concepts from yesterday's video. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at both and see if they conform to each other now, or whether or not one is still counter to the other. So we're going to start things off by taking a look at Bitcoin on the hourly using 𝗕𝗢𝗠𝗃 and Binance as our data source here. Okay, so 𝗕𝗢𝗠𝗃 suggested that we're in this 5-wave structured move to the upside. As you can kind of see, we completed that during yesterday. We can see that actually we had a pretty good move here, and I think all of that is pretty typical. So let's go ahead and just take a look and just check this upper end. So this is just following on from yesterday, and as you can kind of see here, we did actually overextend a little bit above and beyond where you would normally expect a wave 5 to go. It normally would be 1.236 to 1.618, normally be right in there. But since we've come down lower than the origin of wave 4 here, I'm quite happy to think that that 5th wave is done. So it looks like we've completed 5-wave move to the upside. I don't like this area here, of course. It doesn't look like the wave 1 starts this end. So it's going to be one of those things where, because of how this move here has occurred, I mean, we could try to look at it as in there is something going on there, but I think for the most part it's better to look at it from this angle. I think this angle gives us a better approach to this one. So we've got a couple of ways of kind of addressing this then. So we can either look at this as just a 5-wave starting point, okay, just here, and we're going to go down in 3 and then up in 5, or we can look at this as the ending position where we have a 3-3-5 flat corrective structure here. We can see that the volumes that come in every time there was a bigger surge to the upside, big volume came in here, okay, and dragged it up higher, and then basically big volume pulled it back down again. Outside of these spikes in volume is actually really mediocre and nothing much going on. This is kind of what we were talking about yesterday with smart money concepts and the institutional candles that were being left behind here. It does look like it's being manipulated to the upside via some whales or some market makers who are dragging the price to the upside. But the actual volume from retail or proper traders in the background is actually quite mediocre and quite poor. So outside of the original kind of spikes pushing the price in the direction that they want it to go in, there isn't actually a lot in the way of volume going on. Now, when we take a look at the stochastic, we can see that the pull to the downside has allowed us to correct. You can also see that there was absolutely no need to see this surge here, right here, before coming back down. So this looks like it was all designed about grabbing as much liquidity as possible, push the price up, liquidate any shorts, drag the price down, liquidate any longs, because again, people would have put their longs on the swing lows. That would have been grabbed out as well. So it does look like this is all a big liquidity grab over and over and over and over again at the moment. But 𝗕𝗢𝗠𝗃 does give us this 5-wave structure, so we should run with it. Okay, so there's two options. We either finish this or we haven't finished it. And I think it's a tad too soon to really know. I think it's unlikely that we're going to have another 5-wave structured move to the upside here. And that is just because, as you can see, we're overbought now on the 4-hour, 8-hour. We're heading back up on the daily. The weekly is overbought. The hourly has got some progression, but if without the kind of level of support that I think we need from those other timeframes, it's going to be hard to think about pushing this up higher. The expectation should be that we'll kind of maybe bounce around up in between a bit of a ranging market at the moment, and then kind of drop back down again just a fraction. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. Let's go ahead and just repurpose a lot of these white lines that we had on the chart here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our range, okay, where we're currently stuck in. Okay, so it's basically between these two levels, 28,090 and 29,184, which is great. So we're pushing up towards the 30k level, and we can kind of see that it's going to be a big resistance when we get there, if we get there, of course. But I do think there's a possibility that we can. I don't want to kind of rule out 30k at this point. I think that's a bit foolish to kind of rule it out completely, considering we already broke above the existing high, right? So we now have another weak high here. So it could be possible that we do see that push and we see that liquidity getting grabbed at 30k. before we actually have the correction. I do think there is going to be a big correction. I still think the macros are very much intact. We'll take a look at the macros this afternoon. So if you're interested in macro views for Bitcoin, do pay attention to the afternoon video for Bitcoin. And so here we can kind of see that we are looking at pretty much a straight drop down. We'll have to come back up a little bit and come back down, in my opinion. So from Elliott's theory, I think we're going to end up having to do something like this, and we're going to have to breach that low level. Invalidation of that does happen if we go higher than 29,184. Okay, so we do know that we're going to get confirmation of going down when we drop down lower than 2890, right? But it will be still short-lived. Just because you lose this level doesn't mean you can't go back up in here, because you probably will. All I'm saying here is that it's going to confirm that you are definitely in that three-wave drop, just a little bit lower. If you do go higher than 29,184, it means that that's not a valid count to go down here on the waves, and instead what you'd have to do is have to look at what structure was driving us up further and what that might mean. Okay, it means totally different wave counts would happen. Dropping down lower, it means you've just confirmed that this is the move that is going on, but do expect reversal as soon as you do this, okay? Because I don't expect us to kind of drop lower than 28k and then, you know, just not come back up there. I would expect us to go back up. So for the most part, for Elliott wave theory, I'd say we have to kind of analyze what is going on within this range and how we kind of perceive. As you can see, there's only a few candles here, so it's far too soon to really know, but we're waiting for a move here to be shown. Shorting the market after a fifth wave move like this is usually a pretty good idea. However, I'm going to be really cautious on this. If I were to short the market, I'm going to want to make sure that I get this as close as I can with a real tight stop loss just above that swing high, because again, you shouldn't really breach higher than this unless you're in a flat correction, and then you can come and basically grab some of that profit to the downside. Always looking for a good risk reward ratio, ideally 3.0 or more, but we can settle for 1.5 if we are like sniping stuff. But essentially, I think, yeah, we want to get a nice good R&R if we can. So if I was to short it, that's kind of how I would approach this one at the moment. And again, I'll be using BitGet, linked in the description below. It is my go-to platform for trading, whether that is spot or whether that is leverage trading. So if I was to short it, that's kind of how I would approach it. Otherwise, it isn't really worth the risk at this point, considering there's too insufficient data here to allow us to understand which direction that's completely going to go in. So yeah, that's Elliott wave theory at the moment. Not much more I can do on that one until we get the more data. So let's jump over to smart money concepts, right? Smart money concepts has now flipped from bearish to bullish again, right? It's this is why the manipulation is just insane, right? We were bearish here, and just for a short period here, we broke above, giving us a change of character. So we now flipped back to bullish on the hourly chart after confirming bearish. So interesting, right? So we can see this here. We can obviously see that we have had these institutional candles push forward. Equilibrium is here, and we have that weak high now. Okay, so we have a strong low, basically meaning that because we're above equilibrium and we've pushed up to a new high here, we essentially have now got a strong low. It's unlikely that we're going to go down lower than that without first changing our structures. So for now, it looks like that's pretty solid, and we have a weak high point. Now, we do have this change of character here, and typically when you see these change of characters, you do retrace. A clear example of this is that we had the change of character down here, and we retraced up to here. My expectations were that we're going to move down, considering this consolidation here, but we saw all this institutional candle here, all these institutions push that price through that resistance and up a little bit higher, turning it into a support level, and then took it even higher from there. So again, the manipulation is interesting here, and they're chewing through liquidity, basically doing a bit of a liquidity grab by the looks of it. Now, smart money concepts, the way that it has flipped here is interesting, but a test back down to equilibrium and these fair value gaps, in my opinion, have to happen at some point. We have stacked them up quite a bit here with all the manipulation that has been going on. So again, these are very unusual activities for Bitcoin. Now, there are a few things that are interesting on the macro level. I'll talk about those this afternoon, so do watch out for that. But you can see here we had higher highs, higher lows. We broke down from there, and then we started to come down here, and we had our area which was basically lower highs and lower lows, and we did break up from there. And we actually had two of these. We had them, let me find my parallel channel here. We had one up here, we can see just there, right? We can break up from that one, and we also had this one here where we broke up from here. So you can kind of see how these lower lows and lower highs break upwards, and higher highs and higher lows break downwards. So at the moment we haven't got any clear indication on that, but there is a bigger macro piece, which will be this one here, which I'll talk about or this afternoon. That'll help us understand what's actually going on and why we think there's a bigger breakdown due to occur. But for smart money concepts, flip back to bullish. Do think we have to test back down on equilibrium. This will put us at around 27.8 to 27.9. I do think there's going to have to be a move down there. That could tie in with our 3-wave count. Hopefully that will play out and we can kind of see a test back down on equilibrium, turn that equilibrium into support, and then maybe bounce from there to the upside, at least on the smaller time frame stuff that we're talking about today here in this video. So to kind of recap here, I do think there's shorting opportunities to be had, but I do think the risks are quite high when it comes to that at the moment. If I were to short, I'll be waiting for a better entry. I am looking for a bit of a move to the downside, and I would be using BTC for my trading, because it is the only platform that I'm using for my spot trading activities, for my hodl positions, and also for my leverage positions as well. And this is just because BitGet has a really good platform that is all round really good. And what I mean by this is that not only do they have a really good amount of different cryptocurrencies that you can do for spot pairs and basically build a hodl position with, they also have a lot of different pairs as well for your leverage trading. Outside of these things, you haven't seen any of those crazy wicks that you see on some other platforms that liquidate you, specifically when you're using leverages either. So I think that BitGet has a really good platform with a really good approach to the markets, good liquidity and all that kind of stuff as well. They do some fantastic sign-up offers as well, so why not check that out, linked in the description below if it is of interest to you. I'm going to wrap this video up right there. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like button. Really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.